And with me today, I have Richard Tierney, who is a transformational healer and the creator of a groundbreaking alternative healing program designed to help individuals break free from the grip of past trauma memories. With over 100 success stories and counting, Richard has dedicated his life to empowering people who struggle with conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder and depression, offering them a path to liberation and renewed hope. Drawing from his own journey of overcoming childhood trauma that defined him for over 30 years, Richard has developed a holistic approach that integrates mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual healing. His signature program begins with a powerful 3 hour healing event where clients experience the release of trauma in real time. Following this, participants are guided through a 12-step program of Trauma Recovery Anonymous, inspired by the proven success of AA's model. Welcome to the show, Richard. Such an honor to have you here.
And you blow me away with your invitation. Your bio is unbelievable. I couldn't do it better myself. Thank you very much. Before I
No.
start, I have to thank you very much for your podcast. I wouldn't have a chance to speak if it wasn't for people like you who have the courage to create a podcast like this, and it's awesome. So thank you very much for that. And your intro has been gorgeous. I don't know where I can stop now because you've said everything I want to say. So anyway,
Amazing.
I'm Richard Tierney, and I'm originally from Ireland. And like Anne said, I had suffered trauma when I was 12 years of age. And I allowed it to rule and define me. It filled me with such shame and self-loathing. I thought I had caused it, but I must have given some signal to get this person to come towards me. I blame myself. I think it happens with a lot of victims. I love your title, Victim to Victor. It's beautiful. I was thinking if I wanted a title for my books, I should have put down Victim to Victor because it
Yeah.
sums it all up. That's you want to go from victim to victor, never to be a victim again. And so I had a very hard time connecting with people. I couldn't let people get close to me, men, women, whatever. I just was fearful of any kind of intimacy of any kind. And I'd moved to Thailand and I met this man who became my mentor, a sponsor in AA, a mentor. And we had a very strong friendship relationship. But it got to the stage where one day he said to me, Richard, it's in time you let the past go. And I was furious. How can he tell me, a victim, to let the past go, that this is what defines me? He's saying I have to let it go. How stupid and how unfair and how unempathetic this guy is. And I wanted to break the friendship and just walk away. But I didn't want to throw away one friendship that had developed over the years. So I wanted to look at why this guy was challenging me. And then I spoke to a Jesuit priest here and I spoke to a Protestant minister. I came from a Roman Catholic background in Ireland, and I became disillusioned with religion early on. And so I just stopped going to church, religion, the whole lot. And then I got married here and I had children, and I wanted kind of to introduce my children to the faith. So I spoke to this Jesuit priest who was really powerful. He gave me a book one time called Roman Catholicism for Dummies. You know those For Dummies series? I thought that was hilarious. For a Jesuit priest to give you a book on dummies for Roman Catholics. Read that now, you'll understand everything. And he was setting me off to read that and come back when you finished it. It was very funny to get a book on, the dummy series on Roman Catholics. Like, it was just hilarious that he gave me this book. But again, I realized at the end of it, I didn't want to be a Roman Catholic. It was just too much stuff that it wasn't. So then I met a Protestant minister, and for 2 years I'd meet him for breakfast. Each morning we talking. But over the time I realized what happened in the past didn't happen to the person I am today. So, for instance, I'm 63 years of age today, and I've been excited about meeting Anne for every day last week. I've been preparing myself, making sure I look well, that I have my words right, I'm not getting too excited, all that kind of stuff. But today I'm actually with Anne making the presentation. Two completely different people. The person yesterday nervous, apprehensive. The person today actually having this event. And if that's the case, and I'm not the person I was yesterday, because now I'm here with Anne, then I can't be a 12-year-old child from 50 years ago, given my 62-year-old man today. So what happened to that 12-year-old child happened to a 12-year-old child. It didn't happen to a 62-year-old man. And if someone from the past tried to do to me what happened to that child, I wouldn't let them happen. I would defend myself. The thing was, I was carrying the memory of what happened to that child, but also sympathy pains for them. And that was the problem. I was carrying the sympathy pains for them as though they were my own. And that was stopping me from moving on. I had to find some way of giving the sympathy pains back to my younger self. And if I give them back to him, they'd leave this plane of existence and I'd be free of it. And that's the idea behind the program.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so 30 years of your life, it's, and to be honest, it was the same timeline for me as well. So what was the actual turning point then that actually led you to break free from all of your past trauma memories?
Well, it was this man challenged me that really got me started. And then I had to realize if the past didn't happen to me, I needed to find some way of giving the past back. You couldn't very well bury your head in the sand and pretend it didn't happen. That just doesn't work. We know it doesn't. We have to find some way of giving this past and getting it out of our bodies. I always believed that it was like a hole in my soul. That this was eating away at me. It was causing me ulcers and cancers and all sorts of stuff. And no one can see it. They look at me and they see, unless it manifested as a mental or physical expression, no one could see the pain and hurt I was carrying inside me. So I had to find some way of healing that hole in my soul. And that was my goal.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, no, thank you very, very much for sharing that. And so you've mentioned that mental states like PTSD and depression are
Mm.
symptoms of trauma memories. And
Mm.
can you explain this concept a little further from?
Okay. Well, I'm not a mental health professional, and I'm not qualified to treat mental illness. I want to say that straight away. I'm not qualified in any way to treat mental illness. But I believe there's two different forms of mental illness. I believe the mental illness that we have, professional psychologists, psychiatrists, cognitive therapists, trained and qualified to treat, is a different ballgame altogether. But then I believe that we have what we call mental disorders, and these are born out of a past trauma that hasn't been processed or hasn't been released. So if you have something in your past that happened to you and it troubles you, you could develop a mental disorder, an emotion disorder as well. It affects our living. We can't get on with our lives because this is intruding. So we have this disorder in our being. So a mental disorder and a mental illness I see as being two completely different things. The mental illness, as I said, is something that's permanent in this state, and we need a mental health professional to work with us on that. And with medication and therapy, they can succeed. But a mental disorder is a dysregulation in our body caused by a past trauma event. So I don't treat PTSD and depression, but I treat the cause. The science tells us it's all about cause and effect. If we can treat and release the cause, then there's no reason for the effect.
Yeah.
But if we're treating the effect only and ignoring the cause, we're going to be treating the effect forever. Yeah. So for me, I believe that for myself, my own experience, my depression, my PTSD, and my PTSD was undiagnosed, but it was still everything that I read about PTSD was what I had. My self-harm, my self-abuse, my addiction, all that kind of stuff, behaviors, was born out of this trauma that I hadn't dealt with. So the cause was the trauma, and the effect was the condition, the disorder. So my thinking was, if I could teach people how to break free of the trauma memory, to let that go from their psyche and to give it away, well, then there'd be no reason to suffer the disorder because there's no foundation to hold it in place.
True.
If the cause is gone, there's no reason for the effect. That was my idea behind it. That was behind my own healing. So I worked out how to give the past back to my younger self through a holistic practice. Yeah. And when I did that, I felt the release in my body mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, like a great weight had been lifted off my body. It was mind-blowing. I cried tears of joy for days afterwards. Like the release was, I'd given myself this release that was just, I felt it was humanly impossible.
Wow. Amazing that. Thank you so much. Yeah. So how does your 3-hour healing event help clients release trauma on the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual levels?
Okay. Great question. Thank you for asking it. The start, we lay a foundation. I can't heal anybody. Okay, so me telling you you're healed, it's a waste of time. Yeah. You need to experience it for yourself. So I have these, what I call the 7 spiritual foundation stones at the beginning. And these are basically 7 truths that you learn by doing a series of practices I take you through. I ask you to embrace every word I say as being your truth. And I lead you through these 7 foundation stones. And as you do each one, you'll experience a physical change in your body. You'll feel this release in your energy. I give you a trauma chart where you take your chart and you put on that chart what your score would be. So if you were thinking about the trauma today and it was a scale of 0 to 100, how bad would it be if you were triggered or you had a nightmare or flashback? You put that score down on the chart. Yeah. And then through the process, you'd go and see if there's been any shift in that score. That's the only way you know if there's a shift in it. So halfway through, you might say, okay, well, I started out at -60, but now it feels like a -45. That's a 15% shift that you created simply in 20 or 30 minutes of doing this work. So it's about you healing you. So again, I don't need to know your story, and you certainly don't need to tell them. I can remember working with clients, and the very first therapist they worked with, they told them the story, and their high hopes that they can get some help. And of course, it doesn't help out, and they moved on to somebody else. The next therapist, they tell the same thing again. That doesn't work. By the third therapist, you find you're embellishing your story. You're nearly adding to it. You're nearly making it seem much more serious. But the first two couldn't help you. You're nearly frustrated into embellishing your story to make it deeper and much worse and whatever. And by the 10th or 12th therapist, your story is taking on a whole new life of its own kind of stuff. And it's not the truth. So I take every person. So I've worked with a group of like 10 at one time. So I'll create a mantra for the 10 people. They'll have their own chart, and they'll do the session as a group, but one person might be dealing with an attack, one might be dealing with an accident, one might be dealing with a family thing, but they're all in the same room working together in their own Zoom space, and they're doing this at the same time, and they're not comparing. So no one knows your story except you. You do this event, and at the end of the event, you look at your energy and see if it's shifted. Okay. That's the only way you're going to know is if it's shifted for you.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. What role does the Trauma Recovery Anonymous 12-step program play in your overall healing approach?
I love your questions. I couldn't have prepared them any better. Okay. So for people who have a trauma that's fairly recent, the healing event is enough on its own. So I just worked with a young lady from New York, and we did the healing event, and she let go of an event that happened when she was 9 years of age. But because it had been only recently, she hadn't developed a lot of bad habits through PTSD or that kind of stuff. So she felt that doing the healing event was enough and she could move on with her life. But people who are like veterans who've come from Iraq or from Korea or whatever, and they've had it for 10, 20, 30 years, the PTSD of the person has caused a lot of mayhem and carnage in their lives from how they react to people. People who love them, they push them away because they don't know the deal with this, the empathy and the intimacy. So all that kind of damage we've done over the years, we want to heal. The 12-step program, founded from AA, talks about step one is we accept that we are the problem. We don't get to blame anyone anymore. We no longer get to be a victim. It's like you victim from victor. We're no longer blaming anybody. Step two is we're never alone. We have people like Anne with her Victim to Victor podcast, your parents, your dogs, your pets, all these things outside of you can always call on. And the third is to let God in. Give God a second chance. What I like to say is give God a second chance. We all want a second chance at life. We want to be a normal human being. I wanted to be a normal person. I want someone to give me a second chance. And if I'm going to give myself a second chance, the best I can do is give God a second chance and allow him to give me the miracles he promises in the Bible. I don't have to join a religion. So you don't need to join a religion. You don't need to join a denomination. You don't need to attend a church. But you can say today, God, give me a miracle today. Give me peace of mind for 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And in that moment, you can have 10 minutes peace of mind. If your miracle is only 10 minutes of peace of mind, I used to think that if someone could give me 5 minutes of peace of mind from the voices in my head, that would have been a miracle. Then I learned there's a prayer where I can get 24 hours peace of mind. I'm kind of going, 5 minutes of miracle, plus 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you just become open to trying something different. So it's a combination of spiritual, holistic, and taking action.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And so can you walk us through what a client typically experiences during your healing program?
Well, I don't know if I can walk through. It's a very personal happening. So okay, there's 4 stages to the healing event. The first is these 7 foundation stones that we lay. Now, the other foundation stones, it's almost like the healing event has happened. Through changing your attitude, outlook, perspective through these 7 spiritual foundation stones, everything changes. Your whole outlook, you're ready to let go of the past. You're in a position where you realize the past didn't happen to me. I'm fully committed to letting go of it. And then in the Bible, they talk about Jesus used to heal with his hands, the healing hands. We practice Reiki with our hands. We practice Tai Chi with our hands. Our hands are our healing points. There's so much negative energy tied up in our hands. We need to get rid of that negative energy in our hands. So we release all the negative energy. So if you look at your hand, okay, the palm of your hand is the point for releasing anxiety and panic. The side of your hand is for stress. Your thumb is for anxiety, sucking your thumb. The middle finger we know is for. Middle finger is for. What do you do when you get the middle finger? Huh?
Get offended.
Anger. So it's anger, for releasing anger. Okay. Your forefingers for fear. Your ring fingers for sadness and grief, and your little fingers for trust and boundaries. So we release the energy that's tied up, that's stored in these fingers. We're kind of holding in all this energy and suppressing all our feelings. We want to shake it all off and get rid of it. So that's the first thing, is cleansing our hands. Then we clear our minds of this thinking and faulty feeling. That's the next area. And finally, when we get to the torso, we're giving the baggage of the past back to your younger self. So there's 4 stages. It takes approximately 2 hours to do. And at the end of it, you feel this release in your body that this is, it's empowering and mind-blowing. It's very hard to describe, but when you experience it, you'll understand. It's just, it's like you've carried this baggage for 20 years, and suddenly it's gone. You know, like it's gone. It's not like you put it into a press to take it out again. It's gone. You can't take it back out. Yeah. That's the shift in the energy.
That is, yeah. Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. And so you worked with over 100 clients, and are there any particular success stories that stand out to you? Obviously with, you know, no names mentioned.
Yeah. I try not to share my stories too much because, again, and especially not the names or whatever, but there was a gentleman from America who was in the Vietnam War. He was in his 70s, and he had suffered with horrible PTSD over the years, and his stories were horrific about how it affected him when he came home. He lost marriages and children and the whole lot. The one thing he hadn't lost was the faith in God. He hung on to his understanding of God, but the rest of it was like a shambles. And he came to a place where I worked, and nobody could help him. So they said to me, on the off chance I could keep him busy for the month he was there or whatever, and I got to work with him. And after the first session, not a word of a lie, he went, "Praise be to God, it's gone." And then he went to his therapist and said, "I want to leave now, I'm cured." And they were like shocked what was going on, whatever. But the guy had basically let it go in the space of about 45 minutes. He just had seen the light and let it go. And it wasn't me. He'd seen the light himself, and he'd made the decision, and it was gone. And that was probably the greatest. I know that a lady with this dissociation who couldn't turn her back because of her childhood trauma. She was always fearful of her guardian coming towards her. She would be locked like this, and she couldn't move. And she went through all her life locked in this manner where she wasn't able to move, and she'd have to turn her whole body to turn.
Wow.
And in the middle of a session, she went, "I can move my neck. I can move my neck." And she ran out of the room shouting to me, "I can move my neck. I can move my neck." Like 45 years of her neck been locked. And suddenly she's going, "I can move my neck. I can move my neck." And she's running around the place like this, grown woman about 55. Again, that kind of stuff is just, nice. It sounds very kind of casual, but really it's like, it's just mind-blowing. You know, it's a wonderful feeling.
That is amazing. Thank you. Yeah. And so with over 1.4 billion people diagnosed with PTSD and 2 billion with trauma-induced conditions, how do you see your program contributing to a larger solution?
Well, you asked the best. Again, sorry, I should have used my editor. I try not to talk too much about PTSD or depression anymore because I'm not qualified in those fields. I'm just not, you know. And to suggest that my thing can cure PTSD or depression, I'm not trying to suggest that. What I'm suggesting is that I can teach anyone to heal their past trauma memory. And then to heal their past trauma memory, then the person makes a decision that, okay, my memory is gone. There's no longer any reason to humor the PTSD or the trauma-induced disorder because the trauma is gone. You know, if the trauma is gone, there's no reason for it. Like if you broke your leg and it's in a cast, you get to treat it. When your leg comes out of the cast, you don't need to wear a cast anymore or take any medication anymore because your leg is cured. So it's down to the person themselves to complete this healing event, complete the 12 steps. And once that's done, there's no rhyme or reason to continue with your disorder. You can go back to being a normal, boring human being and just fit in with your family and friends and start a family and have a life. And that's all any of us want. You know, we weren't created to be victims and to suffer mental illness all our lives. That wasn't what we were put on this earth for. And I believe people who have trauma, they were the ones chosen, especially by God, that they will be like the ones like Nelson Mandela and the Martin Luther Kings, who will change the world. They've come out of such terrible turmoil and pain and hurt that experience propels them to change the world. Like what you're doing with this podcast, or I'm doing with my trauma program. Yeah. Out of what we came from, and it may look like we should have been thrown on a scrap that we're no good to anybody. We came through it, we survived it, and then we become victors, and then we suddenly were helping other people, and it's like, so I would like to reach everybody if I can. I've got this program in a book format. I'm going to create an online course, put onto a platform like Udemy. So I'm only one person. There's like, I think it's the last number was 1.4 billion with PTSD and over 3 billion with trauma and induced disorders. And I'm one person. I can't get through 3 billion people or whatever, even if I do 50 a day or 100 a day, it's not possible. So I'm hoping to create a course and put it online that people can buy it. And I have my books on Amazon and on other platforms.
Brilliant.
And I'm going to start making some audiobooks and just trying to get out there as much as possible. Because it works, it works. It's just a case of one at a time becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes 8, and before you know it. And again, I'm hoping other people will take this up. They'll maybe do the course, love it, broke free of the trauma, really practice it, and start their own treatment and start treating people.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. And wow, I just feel like you're on the right path. I feel like you're definitely living your purpose, and it's just beautiful to, feel the passion that you have towards your work. So fantastic to hear this. So what do you believe are the biggest misconceptions about trauma healing that your program actually addresses?
Oh, great, great question. Um, the big problem. I was involved with ACOA and ACA and ACOA, which is a really good program for adult children and for people who come from dysfunctional homes. And it really is. They're great fellowship. I can't really say anything wrong about the people or the fellowship, but the concept of us assisting the inner child is, I think, a serious mistake that we make. The inner child suffered, endured, and survived. They survived the trauma event. They don't need our help to bring them out of it or to go back and suffer too. They survived it, so we'd be free today to have a life beyond our wildest dreams. They never asked once they needed us to go back and help them. And as far as they're concerned, they want to leave this plane of existence. But if we bring their baggage into our present, they can't leave this plane of existence. They're meant to step into the light, into the mansion, be perfect in our Father's mansion, in heaven, in the fifth dimension. And they can't leave because they haven't got their baggage, because we're holding on to their baggage, displaying it in the present.
Yeah.
Me going saying, this happened to me 50 years ago. It didn't happen to me 50 years ago because I'm a 63-year-old man. So give this baggage back to my younger self, let them leave it, take it in the right, and then we can focus on just living today's. So for me, I've been void of God for most of my life until the last 4 or 5 years. What I do now is I give God my day. At the end of the day, I give okay, God, this is my day. I had some good days, good stuff, some bad stuff, good successes, some failures. Take it all and leave me 8 hours sleep. And when you take me everything, I sleep for 8 hours. When I wake up in the morning, then I've only got a 16-hour day. So my life is 16 hours only, from 6 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night. Everything in the past is none of my business. I may not wake up tomorrow. So my whole life today, my immortal life, is just for 16 hours only. So I have a life of 16 hours only, and I focus on these 16 hours. And 16 hours today was spending time with my wife and children, going some shopping, dropping my children to college, taking my dogs for a walk, having lunch, coming on with you for a session. And then I'll continue my day. I'll go to bed tonight. But that's my life isn't the last 63 years and the next 20 years. It's just these 16 hours.
Yeah.
So if we can get into just living in these 16 hours only, 8 hours work and 8 hours play, just focus on these 16 hours, mind our own business, don't try and fix or save anybody unless they ask for help. Don't try and intrude on anybody else. Let them do their own life. And if we can focus on living our life today, the best we can reach today, maybe with my 2 kids who are 20 and 16 years, who are 6 and 2, be the best mother and husband you can be, and wife you can be, maybe the best husband and father you can be, and just live in these 16 hours. Yeah. That's where I'm meant to be. That's where I'm meant to have my being, is in the present. And everything that happened up until yesterday, I have to just let it go.
Yeah, very true.
None of my business. I was happening in Russia with Russia and Ukraine, and happening with Donald Trump and Joe Biden. None of my business. What's happening in England with my football team? None of my business. What's happening in Ireland with my rugby team? None of my business. Whoever gets relegated or wins, none of my business. My business is these 16 hours in front of me. And of this 16 hours, I'm here with you for an hour. My whole focus is on you and your audience. And that's it. Nothing else comes into my mind. I don't think of anything else. I get through this hour, and I'll start my next hour. And every time I pass an hour, I realize I started my day at 6 a.m. this morning. It's now 5:30. We finished at 6 o'clock. So I have got 4 hours left to my day. I'm going to get 5 hours from 5 p.m. this afternoon. 10 p.m. tonight is 5 hours. I'm in half hour of that 5 hours. But my whole life is only 5 hours. The 63 years that are gone are gone. I can't take them back. And tomorrow, there's no guarantee I'll wake up. So I only have 5 hours of a lifetime. I want to do these 5 hours. I can spend a half an hour more with you and your audience. I then go and do some work. I can have some food, spend time with my wife and my children, take our dogs for a walk, get ready for bed tonight. That's all my day is,
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, thank you. So what advice would you give to somebody who feels stuck right now with, all of their trauma memories and they just don't know, where to begin their healing journey?
Okay. Well, I think I've created three parables for my clients, and I'm going to share one of them with you now. I'm going to ask you to please sit back in your chair, drop your hands into your lap or by your sides, and your audience too, close your eyes. Now
Mhm.
breathe in only through your nose. When we breathe in through our mouths, we aggravate anxiety and panic that's stored all around our face and our chest. And when we breathe in through our mouth, we trigger post-traumatic stress and stress in our shoulders. So when you breathe into your nose, the breath bypasses these areas, flows down to your tummy, and then exhale through your mouth. So just put your hands down by your sides, breathe into your nose, and then release your breath through your mouth. Now, for the rest of your days, I want you to breathe into your nose only, hold your breath for a moment, and then exhale through your mouth. Excuse me. I want you to imagine that when you breathe in through your nose and the breath flows in, it's carrying in bushels of seeds of hope, joy, acceptance, empathy, and they're planting them in your subconscious mind. So everything you need right now, peace of mind, contentment, courage, hope, joy, empathy, forgiveness, forgetfulness, compassion, tolerance, all the strengths you need to do this trauma, this releasing of it. Draw all that into your mind and imagine you're planting these seeds in your subconscious mind. Okay? As you hold your breath, imagine you're drawing in the sunlight of the spirit to wash and feed these seeds. And then as you're releasing your breath, imagine you're throwing out all your anxiety and depression, all the weeds from your mind to make space for these seeds. So you sit there, know that when you breathe in, you're breathing in seeds of hope. When you hold your breath, you're feeding these seeds with the sunlight of the spirit. And when you exhale to your nose or to your mouth, you let go of the anxiety and stress that you have in your body. Now, it may be from this morning, it may be from your trauma. You don't know, just you're always letting go of anxiety and stress when you exhale in this way. Now, the next part of this is I'd like you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine that you're looking at yourself in, say, 40 years' time. So I imagine you're probably about 27, 28. Could be wrong, but I'm going 27, 28. Look at yourself, say, in 40 years' time, you see a 68-year-old version of you, okay? Now, what you're doing is imagine you've suffered, endured, and survived your trauma and troubles of today, so they'd be free to have a life beyond your wildest dreams. And you've sacrificed for them to have that life. And as you look forward, you see them stepping out of that life you've sacrificed so much for, stepping into the darkness of their minds, opening up this chest in the corner, putting out this chest, and putting from the chest a big cloak, putting the cloak on their back, zipping and buttoning it up. And it's a cloak with all your pains and hurts of today, 40 years earlier. They step out of the mind and they walk amongst all their family and friends saying, this happened to me. What happened 40 years ago happened to me. They're denying the life you have sacrificed so much for, and they're choosing to be a victim of your trauma. And the question you have for yourself is, how would that make you feel? Would you be happy that they're doing this for you? Or would you say to them, give me back my crap and go on with your life?
Yeah.
And that's really what we have to understand, is that when we bring the past into the present, we're not doing our inner child any favors. They never asked us to take this from them. We've betrayed them by taking it from them and giving life to their trauma. It's like we're respecting and honoring their abusers. And on every level, that's wrong. And if we were to put ourselves in this position, we'd see our younger self screaming at us, Richie, what the heck are you doing? Give me back my crap. Let me go. I want to leave this plane of existence. Give me back my rubbish. And that's the easiest way I can explain to you why we have to give the past back. We don't process it. We don't treat it. We don't do any ceremony. We simply say, this isn't mine. It's yours. And they take it and they leave this plane of existence. And when they step into the light. This experience we feel when we give it to our younger self and it leaves our body mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, it's like this weight. When that happens to me, I find myself crying tears of joy for about half an hour after. And most clients find themselves just crying. There's tears of joy, but you've carried this for so long, and you've tried to explain it to therapists, and they don't get it. You can talk to as many therapists you want, and I had two therapists when I was much younger, in my 20s, and they're the most loving, caring therapists. And I always want to go back to Ireland sometime to meet my main therapist, who I think may be dead now. She was probably in her 50s when she worked with me 40 years ago. I'd love to meet her one more time and say thank you, because she was the most empathetic, kind person. But she was out of her depth. She was out of her depth. I was out of my depth. She couldn't help me with my trauma memory because it wasn't mine. I was trying to heal somebody else's pain. So if you can picture your future self looking at you and you're saying to them, give me back my crap. well, then know that your inner child is screaming at you, Anu, give me back my crown. It's not yours, it's mine. I processed already. I don't need to be brought out in the light again, honoring my abusers. What do you think you're doing? Give it back to me. And that's probably the only way I can explain to you why. We have to realize we're not doing ourselves any favors bringing this into our present.
True. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah. So how has helping others actually heal yourself as well? You know, so how has helping others to heal influenced your own personal growth and outlook on life?
But I'm married like yourself. I've got a 20-year-old daughter and a going on 17-year-old son in about he's 17 in 5 days time or something. The terrible things I get know is forgetting your son's birthday or whatever, but he'll be 17 in maybe in a week or so anyway. But I'm a better husband and father because the demons are gone. I'm more open to people. I like to think of myself today as being a normal, boring human being.
Okay.
That's the greatest claim I can think. I fit in now with people. In the past, my family would meet on a social gatherings, picnic or party, whatever, and they'd be talking about rubbish. They'd be talking about crossroads and about EastEnders and about football and whatever. And I'd be in the corner, so full of my pain and anger that I couldn't. How could they talk about such stupid, frivolous stuff when I've got my terrible pain to deal with? But today I can talk about EastEnders and Friends and and whatever it is, and John Wick, or just chat about movies or TV or comedies or whatever, Only Fools and Horses, and just chat to people about normal conversation about my children, about work and life. And there's no demons in the inside calling me to talk about the deep, meaningful stuff that isn't deep or meaningful in any way. It's just victimhood. So with the victimhood gone, I'm no longer a victim. I'm a boring, normal human being. Honestly, if you saw my life today, you're thinking, he's a boring, normal human being. And for me, that's a success story.
Boring, normal. I love that. Amazing. Thank you. So what's next for you in your mission to help people break free from trauma?
Well, I've written a few books, and I'm hoping to reach as many people as possible. I have a separate book for children for dealing with stress and anxiety that I'm hoping will take off later on. But my program I'm focusing on now is helping people with past trauma memories to as much as possible. I see people online. If I meet someone in town, I see them face to face. But I'm in Thailand, and so if they come over for a holiday, they want to meet me one-on-one. I meet them one-on-one, or 2 and 2, or 5 and 5, or 10 and 10. I can do up to 50 people at a time. That's the most I've gone at one time. Now Zoom says you can have 500 people in a room. I probably could manage 500, but I don't want anyone to feel as though they're being taken for advice or being neglected or something. So I wouldn't like to go over really 50 at the most. I think it's not fair to people who come from trauma. I think they're being milked for the money or something, and not for that kind of stuff. So I prefer to work in small numbers than big numbers for that reason. We have to really instill confidence and a sense of worth and value in the client, not that they're like sheep being led into a 3 hours gone, the next 1,000 come in for kind of stuff, so I can achieve my goals. It's a case of we come in and treat people healthy and loving and caring, and they heal and they move on, and they maybe take up the mantle. So that's really part my goal is I'm going to create I used to watch a lot of videos on Udemy. I found it's a wonderful platform to learn things. And so I'm hoping to actually create this and put it on Udemy as a learning, so more people can reach it. So I can reach more people. I'm not getting any younger, and I don't know if I can do it on my own, but if I can get it out onto a training course that people can take it up and actually do it themselves, that'd be really cool. That's my next goal.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much. And where can my listeners find you, Richard?
Well, my email is richard@traumarecoveryanonymous.com. And you can send me an email there. My books are on Amazon, and they're on most good book platforms. I think did I send you share with you the book links?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Anu has the book links on her podcast page for the 3 books. The first one is the Healing Any Trauma Memory. That's the healing event we talk about for 3 hours. And then the 12-step program is the 12 steps for if you have any kind of baggage you want to clear away after the trauma event, you do that. Now the third book is a book on teaching people that their anxiety and the depression actually are God-given instincts. They're actually not disorders. They're a benefit to you if you learn how to use the program.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. Yes. And I look forward to sharing all the links with my listeners. And thank you so much, Richard. It's been an honor having you on and for you to share your amazing insights and the work that you're doing. And again, I salute you for the journey that you're on. And yeah, keep on empowering others as well.
Thank you, Anu. Thank you for having me on. I really loved it. It's been great fun. You're a great host. I just think it's fantastic that people have the courage to set up a podcast, and you held it so well. You held the space so well. You presented and you asked me all the right questions. I'm amazed with thinking, how am I going to get through this? Will she know what to ask me? And you nailed it every single time. It was truly wonderful. So thank you very much. And to your audience, I wish you all very well. I hope to God some of this helped you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for your kind words. And my listeners, please do reach out to Richard if you have any questions about the work that he's doing, or if you have any questions about what we've discussed today. We always love to hear from you. And yeah, stay blessed, my beautiful friends. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.